Good evening, Patrick here. 8 questions with Have Cheetah Will View. And yeah, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We will be talking to our good friend Horror Miser Monty G. Will be joining us tonight. Very much a respected fellow horror tuber here. He also hosts the Horror Hangout with Sean Patrick Ershman and Jen and Christian. Um, so yeah, we're going to be talking all sorts of fun things with Monty. This will be the first time that he's been on the show, and way overdue if you ask me. I mean, I've got over 200 of here, and I should have had him on here way before this. But there is a method to my madness, how I do this. But I am glad that he's here with us. I'm glad he's able to join us. I know he had a rough week. He was sick this week, so I wasn't even quite sure what was, because I don't want anybody to come onto the show if they're sick. If you're not feeling too well, just relax. We can always reschedule. That's how I look at things. Hello, Professor. Hello, Katie. Uh, oh, well, great. You're gonna love it. Uh, this is a fun show, sir. Trust me. This will be fun. You will be telling your friends about this show. In fact, Katie could probably tell you about this show because Katie's been on this show. Um, of course, what I love about Monty is he's got some really fun opinions. He does on his channel. He does rants. He does in-depth reviews. His rants are hilarious. He does trailer reactions. The horror hangout. They do various topics. They'll deep dive on a film or a film series, and all entertaining as hell. I will be putting down his I'll be putting down his links down below after the show, and you can go there. If you haven't subbed to him yet, we can also fix that because I will go ahead and drop his channel in the chat right there, so you guys can all go over there and hook up with Monty. You definitely want to do that. Monty is one of the very best of us in the horror community. Very generous with his time. Always has always has something to offer. If you have a panel and you're looking for a guest for a panel, um, highly recommend him. He came over and hung out with us on the Midnight Society. He came over and we did a deep dive on Saint Maud. And it was one of the more outstanding shows I've done on the Midnight Society. We had a lot of fun with that. Monty is also a huge A24 fan, so that's another thing that him and I will be talking about a little bit today. I caught an interesting article in Variety that was really caught me by surprise. How the Oscars have, for the first time, I don't think I've ever seen this before. Uh, for the Oscars to come out and say this, but they came out and said that the Whale, the new film with Brendan Fraser, that's been getting all the buzz, the Oscars actually came out and criticized A24, calling their campaign for the movie manufactured. Manufactured. That might really come back to bite that movie in the ass. If the Oscars are looking at it like, that's what you're pushing this down our throat, um, and we're not gonna respect that. That would be really different because, as far as we're all concerned, the Oscars are, they've always been like that. Whatever they could steal, whatever they could pay, a big studio could pay. I don't think A24 is there yet as far as, like buying a Oscar. I don't think they're quite there yet, but give it a couple of years and they'll have the money to do it. Um, I do think that I hope it doesn't affect their other offerings like Anywhere, Everywhere, All at Once. I hope this doesn't come back to bite the studio in the ass, but we'll be talking about that. Let's see. Hi, Meg. How are you? Hey, funny. Yes, I'm funny guy. Hey, Monty. I got you. Oh, cool. Cool. Glad you guys are here. Those who could share us out, which is hopefully will be anything, everybody. Um, go feel free to share us out if you want to. That'd be awesome. Monty will be here in about 10 minutes or so, and so we'll be talking about that. Um, yeah, exactly, Professor. You know, when I saw that, I sort of laughed at that too. Honestly, I was like, "Wow, they're calling A24 out on that." But it's always been. I mean, hell, look at the Fablemans, right? Holy shit! If that's not crafted to win an Oscar. I mean, come on, give me a break. Um, it's just like that's why they play all these movies during December because they're all trying to get that Oscar push, that Oscar buzz. Um, I think if Oscar was really honest with themselves and they sat there and they said that we're no longer going to be just like considering movies being pushed down our throat in December, we're going to include movies that have been released all year long. I think that'll be a much better look for the Oscars. Um, that's what I think. I think, instead of, you know, all these prestige movies coming out in December as Oscar season, which basically tells the other movies being released the other 11 months of the year that no matter how good you think you are, you're not good enough to make it to the Oscars because you haven't been released in December. There's a lot of great movies that get released throughout the year, but they never get the credit for it because they're not released during that 30-day window. Hello, Jim. How are you? Going to work today? Be careful out there. Be careful out there. Um, yeah. Let's get to the calendar. I got to let you guys know what's coming up. Of course, tonight after we're done here, um, the midnight hour will be going on about 10:15, and it will be hosted by Katie from Popping the Popcorn. By all means, Katie, drop your link down. That's what we'll be going to afterwards. Monty is here, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring him up now. We don't need to wait for him till 8 o'clock. Let's get this party going. So let's welcome in Monty G.
Oh, there I go.
That's right, sir.
All right.
Yeah, we're just talking about. I don't know if you caught the end of that, but we were talking a little bit because I was telling how you're a big fan of A24 films, and that I read today on Variety or the Hollywood Reporter or both that the Oscars were they were blasting The Whale. They were sitting there saying how The Whale campaign to get an Oscar is all manufactured, and yeah, they didn't really like that too much, which really spun me a little bit because it's like, isn't it always like that? That's what that's what you do. That's what everybody does. All right, we got some people in the chat already for you, Monty. We have Katie from Poppy the Popcorns here. Jim from Now Stark, he's here listening while he's getting ready to go to work. Professor Mac Bro is here for the first time. Nanette and Jimmy Hoffa are here. Yo, Nanette. Yo, Jimmy. Let's see. Meg's Mysteries is here. I'm glad to see that. Funniest unfunny guy is here. I don't know his first name. I have to see if I'm hooked up with him. So, I went on a little early just in case you needed to see a beacon to get here. No, because I know that sometimes you have to navigate the horror corner, and we always get lost in it. So I went up a little early just in case you did get stuck in the horror corner.
Oh, no, I'm good. Good.
Yeah, I was really like, I was sort of remiss of myself when I'm introducing you because it's like, this to me, this is overdue. This is
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would agree.
This is way overdue. I don't, it's funny. It's like try to like what I try to do is like try to get like because we have various shows in the community, they're hosted by various people,
Mm-hmm.
and I've tried what I try to do is I try to interview everybody associated with that particular show, like the Coast to Coast guys. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've interviewed Cody, and um, I've interviewed Phil, and I've
Mm-hmm.
interviewed David. I have not interviewed Ben yet.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I did not interview Ben yet, and I have not interviewed Mark or John. So I still have 3 of those to go. I also interviewed I also interviewed the guys from the Cinema Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, I'm trying to get through Grandi's Graveyard. Um, I haven't even interviewed Al yet, my
Yep.
co-host. I haven't even interviewed him yet.
Yeah.
But but I did get Mike. Hey, Lady Valerie.
Hey, Val.
That's right. Lady Valerie in the house. Yeah. So I just want to say that I'm super psyched you're here. Super psyched. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and just let it rock and roll.
Let's go on ahead.
Yeah. I was just glad you were gonna make it. I was a little worried because I know that you've been sick this week.
Yeah, because I was supposed to have a live stream with Jen and Christian and Gory Bean Movie talking about season 2 of Chucky. It was supposed to be last Saturday, but unfortunately, the bug got me.
Mm,
So I'll have that on this Saturday.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely check that out for sure. What happened to Chucky this season? I mean, it went from being white hot buzz from the season 1 to I barely really hear anybody talk about it this year.
Oh man, it. I don't know what Don Mancini and his writers decided to do this season. It kind of started off okay, and then it just went. I don't know what type of tone or direction they wanted to go to. It's like they wanted to keep it seriously, like they did with season 1, or they wanted to have some fun and be like Seed of Chucky. And you really can't do both because
Mm,
very people did not like Seed of Chucky. And I think that's where the problem went when they decided to go into more of a Seed of Chucky route instead of just continue on with the type of tone they set in season 1. And that's the reason why you got so many uneven shows. I mean, there are some aspects I did like about the season, and we'll talk about that. Excuse me. This Saturday coming up with Jen Christian and Gory B Movie. But I think there was a lot of what did I say? I think a lot of plot devices that were convenient plot devices to push the story, to push the narrative on instead of just letting the story flow in itself. It's like, well, like, what about Andy? And he was missing for a whole year, and then we find out that he was captured by this Chucky called the Colonel and Dr. Mixer, and this guy's been eating half his leg for almost a whole year. Guy shouldn't be able to walk. What about infection? What about gangrene? We see him barely can't walk, and then the next episode he's walking like he's got a whole new leg, like they gave him a whole new leg.
yeah.
That was one of the problems that I have. The second problem was in the final episode in the season, especially the season finale. Oh boy, don't get me started about the season finale. Um, hey, what's up, Ken?
Hey, Hob. Hey, Ken.
And Jake and Devin, they stabbed Tiffany in one scene, and then the next scene she's standing up. She's not even bleeding out. What you would think she would not be able to stand like nothing's wrong, and that final scene. Oh boy. Then of course we had the reveal that Caroline is not Lexi's sister. That just came out of left field. A lot of ups and downs. Now I didn't mind the Tiffany Citric episode where you have Gina Pashon, Joe Pantalia, and her sister Meg Tilly. I didn't mind it. I actually thought it was pretty decent. I liked the actor that portrayed Glenn and Glenda. I thought that was pretty good. And I liked what they're called, the three amigos, Jake, Devin, and Lexi. I like some of the story that they had, I actually thought Lexi had the great best character arc throughout the whole series. Jake and Devin, they kind of had their back and forth, but really didn't like that much. The only good thing was the supposedly good Chucky. I thought that was okay. Wasn't great. Obviously, it came right from A Clockwork Orange. That's where they got that from. But other than that, it's just like not an even tone this season when it came to season 2.
Yeah, I was just really, it was noticeable, which really, because Jennifer Tilly was promoting it like crazy, but
Uh-huh.
she's embraced Tiffany. I mean, that's just she's embraced it. She likes, and you saw her doing her social media. She was promoting the show, super hyped up and everything else. And then once it hit, all of a sudden they went like the first episode. I heard a lot of people talk about it, and then after that, I hadn't heard nothing from nobody at all.
Yeah,
It's just
like the first episode was pretty decent. You get the time jump. It's been a year. We see where the three amigos are at right now. Then of course Chucky comes back. He still wants to kill them. He winds up killing Jake's foster brother. They get blamed for it, of course, so that he gets sent over to this Catholic school. And I thought that was a pretty good start, good setting for them to see what Chucky's going to do. And I don't know if anyone didn't like the Chuckies that we got in this season. With we got the Chucky that turned out to be good Chucky. Then we had the buff Chucky, and of course when we find out where that all came from, and it was like I say, it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't just that one Chucky that we had in the first season, and what he was trying to do with first Jake and then his cousin Junior, and trying to kill all the families. There was something about his. They never really explored the reason why Chucky wanted to kill all their parents in Hackensack. That never was discussed. There was some type of reason why he wanted to kill the parents, but it was never what came out. Now I thought we see more of that in season 2, but they decided to go this route. Then just an uneven tone and story, and season 2.
it's gonna probably be gonna be very interesting to see if they survive for season 3, because
Mm-hmm.
Comcast, Universal, and especially Sci-Fi Channel, they always have a really bad reputation for quick hooks. And and the one thing is that you didn't hear right away that they were going to approve season 3, whereas after the second episode of season 1,
We
they were
got we
already
got
announced
they
it.
already announced that there was going to be a season 2. Yeah, so that,
Yeah.
that lets me know that obviously this season didn't probably do as well as season 1. So it's going to be tricky to see if Sci-Fi and Universal will go on ahead and bankroll season 3.
Yeah, yeah, I guess hopefully they do.
Mhm.
Hopefully they give them a chance to right the ship, because you don't want it to end after only 2 seasons, because it sort of damages the franchise a little bit.
Mhm.
You look at the TV show and it's like, yeah, you failed. You didn't do very well, and it could affect the future of the franchise, especially as far as Comcast or Universal putting out anything. They might not really want to do that. They might hold on to the property, but they might not be in such a hurry to do anything else with it for a minute. They might let it stew for a few years. Um, let's see. Who else is in here? Hobbs is here. Hi, Hobbs.
What's up, Hobbs?
Oscar Garcia. Yes, Cocaine Bear.
uh, you know, I was not surprised when I heard that, and of all people, Elizabeth Banks decided to make a movie about that bear.
Oh my God. It's like, okay. I guess it's sort of goofy. I saw the preview for it, the trailer for it. And of course they showed way too much as always.
Mhm.
Um, but that was based off a true story,
Yeah.
except for the bear not dying. The bear, I mean, the people, I mean, the bear didn't kill anybody. The guy who actually, whose cocaine the bear found, he himself died
He died. Yeah,
when his
he jumped
parachute,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, he
his
jumped out the plane, and the parachute was
parachute.
faulty, and unfortunately, he wound up dying from the fall.
Right, right. And as far as the bear goes, if they found the bear, and it was still hanging around. They still had like 40 containers of cocaine. I'm not sure what happened to the bear. I'm sure they probably just shot it. I'm sure
Hmm.
it's probably how the end was. I'm sure it's how it's going to end here too. Um, it seems like a sort of a silly premise. They're making a horror comedy out of it. The you know the bear looks pretty good. The CGI looks
Yeah,
pretty.
it looked pretty good. Yeah.
I like that. I think if they would have played it more, like they were showing already dead people in the trailer. It's like, why are you showing people dead in the trailer? Don't do that. You want to have some suspense. It's like, okay. I mean, they already showed like 3 or 4 of the cast members dead. It's like, why are you showing us that? Don't do that. Um, but but it does look entertaining. I don't know if I would call it a horror comedy. I
Mhm.
would call it more like a creature feature, but I definitely am curious about it. And yeah, hopefully, if it doesn't do well, hopefully Elizabeth Banks won't blame us men for that again, like she did for Charlie's Angels.
Hey, nothing against Elizabeth Banks. Is look, and I grew up watching Charlie's
Yeah.
Angels during the '70s. I was a huge fan of the show, so I have nothing against women power and anything like that.
No,
But
not at
you
all.
gotta make a decent movie. It's like it
But
has nothing to do against the women of
no,
the show. The movie was terrible.
not only that, but this is something that we talked about before. And it's like Kristen Stewart was the big name, and it's like, listen, you can't open a movie underneath Kristen Stewart's name. It's never going to do well. She's
Mhm.
just not. She's not that kind of actress. She will never be a headliner. She'll
Mhm.
always fit well with smaller movies. You can't expect her to carry a movie. You can't open a movie with her name. It just won't happen. The audience right now, well, actually, for the last 10 years or so since Twilight, or
Mhm.
uh, she's never been able to open a movie by herself
Mhm.
and hold it. And it's no fault of hers. No, it isn't. But that's just how the American public sees her. And so yeah. But yeah, Elizabeth Banks attacking men for not liking the house is like, wow. Men want Charlie's Angels. Women don't want. If you ask women, like, how would you feel about a Charlie's Angels movie? Women are gonna go like, I don't give a rat's ass. Ask a man, they're gonna sit there and say, hell yeah. Um,
Mhm.
so let's see. Cast star Garcia saying season 3 of Chucky, Carolyn and Evil Chucky versus the kids and adults. Uh, let's see. Ken says he says he'll eat his shorts live if they don't sign on for season 3.
You
Um,
don't Ken, don't do that. We don't need to see you eating your
yeah.
shorts.
Uh, the ratings are way too high for them not to. Yeah, I have to go back and look at the numbers for that,
Mhm.
but I suspect the ratings for this season are going to be lower than the first one. It might have. I mean, as far as maybe they might fluff up the numbers as far as the DVR numbers, but I didn't hear nothing at all about Chucky season 2. Not anywhere close to the hype that season 1 got.
Mhm.
Not even close. Let's see. Hated buffed up Chucky and Colonel Crazy Chucky. Uh, let's see. And the professor says Kristen Stewart was pretty good at underwater. Yeah,
Yeah, she was good in
she
underwater,
was.
yes.
But that movie, that movie, for one thing, that movie got released during the pandemic, so
Mhm,
it did
unfortunately.
well. It did, and that movie sat on the shelf for 2 years before they released it.
Mm.
So it's not like they were rushing out there because it's Kristen Stewart's attached to it, and they released it in January, which is that's the graveyard for movie releasing.
Mhm.
January is like if you're
Alright,
not
night, Meg.
mm, yeah, you're just gonna dump it. It used to be September.
Mhm,
September
yeah.
used to be a dumping month, but not anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but January, they dumped it in January. They're just trying to write it off, get it out there, see what hopefully get some money out of it. It did decently well. It did decently much better than people thought it would do. Um, and then yeah. Thanks so much for coming out, Meg. I appreciate it so much. Um, so what about you, Monty? I mean, as far as the movies going right now, I mean, you put out your reaction video for the mean one, which is continuing a trend of as of late. A lot of childhood heroes are suddenly becoming evil monster movies. Um, so talk to me about the mean one. I saw the trailer. It's not because the Grinch is not. It's that is not a public domain property.
I I think when you look at the trailer, they never say the word Grinch or Mr. Grinch because I think that's still copyrighted by Dr. Seuss's
Yeah.
family. So they decided to just pick on the character itself and call him the mean one because you can because I mean obviously we know we're talking about the Grinch, but they're not going to call him the Grinch, which I actually found fascinating because when I first saw this on Blood, I think it was on Blood Discussing or Dead Central. When I first saw that they were making a horror movie about the Grinch, I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, come on, look, you got Winnie the Pooh coming out. You already had the horror film with the banana splits, and they're making a horror movie about Bambi.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, they're making a horror movie about Bambi.
No, wow, I did that. So Disney has dropped a lot of their. I mean, they had copyrights on all those, a lot
Yeah,
of those, and they're
yeah,
just letting.
they all expired, and now they're part of the whole. They're all part of the public domain. So, I mean, that's the reason why the guys made Winnie the Pooh because I think earlier this year, the copyright for that Disney had a copyright for Winnie the Pooh's character, and that went on the public domain. And unfortunately, since that went away, and the person, I think, the estate of the guy that actually created Winnie the Pooh, they never decided to get back the rights to that character or any of the characters that come from Winnie the Pooh. And so they say, hey, let's make a horror movie about it. I mean, the Banana Splits did a pretty good job, so they said, let's make a horror movie about that.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember the Banana Split movie, and as far as that did okay. I mean, it came out on Sci-Fi Channel, and it did all right.
Hmm.
Um, people seem to really respond to it. Let's see. Ken saying that his review of the Mean One will be up on Saturday. We have things to say about this film. I am sure it is. I'm sure I'm sure it's low budget.
Oh yeah, you can
Um,
tell it's
I'm,
low. You can tell it's low budget. Yes.
and I'm sure it got made before Terrifier 2 came out, obviously.
Hmm. Yes.
So I do think it will do well. I think it will do well because of David Newton Howard
Mm.
Newton. I do think it'll do better than average because of his success.
Because of his presence in the film.
Right.
So a lot
Right.
of people see the film. Yes.
So I think it's just a shame he's covered up in makeup all once again.
Mhm.
Here he is, art, and now he's here as it's like I'm sure he's sitting there going like, can I play something that shows my face the next time? I'm sure that will be the next thing for him.
Yeah.
Um,
I have not heard of them making a horror movie about a Christmas Carol yet.
Man, the Christmas Carol, it really, in some respects, it is a horror film.
Hmm.
It really is. If you think about it, I mean, it's sort of, especially the first two ghosts, they're, it's pretty spooky. Yeah, I don't know if you really need to do anything for the Christmas Carol. They've tried to do it. I mean, they've tried to do
I don't
it.
even know how can you make that a horror movie though, I mean, unless you actually change the aspects of the ghosts of Christmas present, future. I mean, presents past and yet to come. You actually make them really terrifying ghosts. You
Right.
know, and
And
ghosts
actually kill some people during
and
their,
actually kill people. Yeah.
that, yeah, you could get away with that. That would be interesting. But I think just the regular Dickens story as it is, as it stands now,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of horror elements into it because
Mm-hmm.
they're telling Scrooge that unless you change, this is your future, dude.
Yep.
And there he is. He's going to be dead. He's going to be forgotten, and no one cares about him. I mean, and the worst thing for people, I think a lot of people will be, if they're honest with each other. I think one of the things that they get worried about is that no one will remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Will people remember me after I'm gone? I think we all sort of want to leave somewhat of a legacy. no matter how small it is. But I think people want us to be remembered. People want to be remembered. Um, so you think this is a good trend? I mean, the creature features. You think they're? I mean, it seems to be. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think that with the success of the banana splits and then seeing all of the children's properties whose copyrights have expired and going back to the public domain, a lot of filmmakers decided to say, "Hey, let's go on ahead and make horror films of these characters." Like I said before, it just like I said in my trailer reaction, I'm waiting for the Peanuts to make a horror movie about Peanuts.
oh, oh,
I mean, I would love to see Charlie Brown be a serial killer.
yeah, he would be definitely be the perfect one. It's funny you mentioned that it is the 100th year of Peanuts,
Yeah, I know.
and yeah, Charles Schultz's birthday was just a couple of weeks ago. I think 10 or
Mhm.
10 days ago or so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that we should be taking beloved characters like Bambi or the Grinch or the Banana Splits? Should we take things like that and basically turn them inside out? I mean, for entertainment purposes, this
I
is
mean,
doesn't seem to be a little
we
bit of a loss
did
of
that for Santa Claus in New Year's Evil and then Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, everything is fair game when it comes to any type of characters. If you want to make a horror movie about it, I mean, yeah. The Silent Night film got a lot of backlash because parents couldn't for some reason thought their kids were going to go get scared because Santa Claus is a killer now. But you have to understand, look, he's a fictional character. You don't have to take your kids to go see it. It's for grown people. It's not for children. It's not for children,
right.
But it to me, it's just like anything's fair game when it comes to making characters in the horror pictures, whether they're a beloved children's character or not. I mean,
I just feel like so I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, I wonder how horror fans would feel if all of a sudden, like you said, the good Chucky, right?
mhm.
How I wonder how they would react all of a sudden if the good Chucky came out there and killed the bad Chucky, and decided, that was it. That's how they decided to end the show. Like good Chucky wins. I don't think horror fans would actually respond too well for that. I think they would be like, "Well, what'd you do? What?" I don't know. To me, it's like I mean, it would be entertaining to see that. Yeah, we're gonna make Freddy Krueger. Yeah, we're gonna make him the we're gonna make him into like a Santa Claus. He's gonna come back. He's gonna redeem himself, and now he's gonna be a good guy. He's gonna go after serial killers. I I don't know how people would respond to that. It's like, what do you mean that you can't do that to Freddy? It's Freddy. Freddy's an evil guy. Um, I don't know. I just see the child. I just see the books like Bambi and the Grinch, and I'm just so used to seeing them. Like when you and I read them. I don't know. It's just something really weird about taking those characters and turning them into horror figures. It's just different. I don't know. I guess that's a new exploitation, right?
I mean, when you take a look at the fairy tales from the Brothers Grimm, they were originally all dark. They weren't
Yeah.
the nice, happy,
Mm-mm.
uh, peaceful tales that we read in when we first read going to school. They were all dark stories. They're all dark stories, and they eventually got turned into horror films. I mean, Hansel and Gretel, witch hunters. You had Gretel and Hansel. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, even had a dark TV show called Grimm that was based upon the fairy. I mean, the stories that the Brothers Grimm told.
Yes, you're right.
Mm.
Let me hit the chat here real quick. We got people. The chat is flying. Let's see. Have you heard them making a Christmas Carol horror movie? I would think they would. I would think so. I definitely think that A Christmas Carol plays into making a horror film probably more than any other story. I do of a Christmas story. I think A Christmas Carol is prime to be made into a straight out horror film. I can see that. Violet Night, yeah, of course, that's coming out with David Harbour.
Mhm.
Hopefully he does better than he did in Hellboy. Uh, Talk about a horror movie,
Oh
and
yeah.
and not the good way. See. but the professor says there's a Marvel Comics miniseries that has the Christmas story happening at the same time as the Victorian zombie apocalypse. Good Lord. Marvel Zombies. Oh Lord. Kaleo, hey Kaleo, how are you? Meg was back. She was gonna leave. Then she heard us talking about Bambi Gone Wild and came back. All right. And then she's saying that Lucy would be the killer in Peanuts. Now, you know who I would pick to be the killer in Peanuts? I would actually pick Linus because he'd be the last person you think.
Oh yeah, yeah. You would pick Charlie Brown saves the day. He is like this because all of a sudden he finds out it was Linus who was the killer. He saved the day.
Oh yeah. I mean, see, welcome back. And see, everybody's talking, saying hi. Valerie's. I think Valerie's like me. Really Nettie, first Pooh, now Grinch, and now the Christmas Carol. Or yeah, I'm with you, Valerie. Honestly, I just not really. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I just think it's goofy. Let's see. I don't hear everybody talk about. I love that show. Grimm. Grimm was great. Hell yeah, Grimm was awesome. Did you watch that show?
Yeah, I watched the show. I came in late into it, but I was able to watch all the way up from I think season 4 until it finally concluded.
You know, let me tell you my Grimm story here because I want to hear your thoughts about this too. Okay, so I've talked about this movie before, but but not with you. But I'm going to tell you about this one. Some of you guys in the chat may have heard about this. So I got a movie from Dollar Tree, of course, right? Because it's Dollar Tree. So I got this movie from Dollar Tree, and it was a movie called Redwood Massacre Annihilation. It was a sequel to one called Redwood Annihilation. So I go ahead and buy the second one because it has Danielle Harris in it and it has Damian Puckler in it. Now Damian Puckler was starred in Grimm. He played Meisner. So I'm like, okay, I'm buying this movie because I liked his character in Grimm. I thought his character was kick ass. So I go ahead and I buy this movie because I want to, hell yeah, right? Because I've never seen him in anything else. So has Danielle Harris in it. It's a mainstream movie. So it has a scene in the movie that I've never seen in a mainstream movie before. Now, this is an independent movie, but it's made for the mainstream. It shows Damon Puckler's character performing necrophilia on camera with one of the victims.
Ooh, man. Ooh. That's disgusting. That's almost bad as that Dead Girl, because that was just about as bad as these dudes find a girl that they believe is dead and they decide to pay people.
The corpse of Anna Fritz.
Trying to pay people to have sex with a dead woman. Yeah,
that was the corpse of Anna Fritz. I saw that movie. That movie's awesome, but it's disturbing as hell. But that movie kicked ass. But this movie did not kick ass. It kicked ass because it was like I've never seen anything like that before. Not with a mainstream actor, not a mainstream film. And I'm going like, and it didn't hide it. I'm going like, oh, I turned it off. That ended the evening entertainment right then and there. You have to hunt down for that. It's not a very good movie though, Professor. It's not. I mean, even before the necrophilia scene, the movie sort of lacked. But that scene, I don't know. I was just really shocked.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
I always wanted a chance to ask Danielle. I was like, did you know that scene was going to be in that movie that you're going to be in? Because I have a feeling she probably did not. I don't know. So what about the movies this year for you, Monty? What have you watched this year that really floated your boat, that really you would talk about?
I talk about a whole bunch of decent horror films that came out this year. Actually started with Scream.
Oh, okay.
Started with Scream, then came The Black Phone.
Okay.
Then came Prey.
Okay.
Then came X. Then came Barbarian. Can't forget about the sickness. Then
Yeah.
obviously, then came Pearl. So we have all these fantastic horror movies that have came out so far this year, and I'm still having a problem trying to pick out what's going to be my best one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Boy, for a minute there, I thought it was gonna be a slam dunk from what you.
It's not a slam dunk. It'll be it. It's easier to pick the worst horror pictures so far this year than picking the best one because there's just almost all those movies I mentioned are great, and they all could be my number one. But I know I'm going to have to pick one.
Uh-huh. Is it safe to say your number one movie, horror, the number one bottom feeder will be Halloween Ends?
No,
Really?
no, it will not be Halloween Ends. I actually really did not have a problem with Halloween Ends. I know a lot of it's a very divisive film. I know a lot of the Halloween fanboys did not like it. I've seen the videos talking about how to fix it and how to do this and do that. I really did not have a problem with David Gordon Green and Danny McBride did with Halloween Ends. I kind of suspected that's what they tried to do. There was going to be this huge battle showdown between Laurie and Michael. We've seen that already in H2O. And, we got that little final fight scene between them. But you have to understand, they're based upon how the film was set and the story that was set, they're all both of those are old people. Mike was old, Laurie is old. Mike was still recovering from the ass kicking he got from kills. The fact that Laurie sets him up and puts a refrigerator on his knee, practically cracks his knee open because you can see that he's stuck because his knee's breaking. So they're very old people. So you're not going to get this huge fight scene that everyone was talking about. And it's like I said, it's people fell for the marketing. And I knew that was not going to happen because the one thing that I always hate about horror movies itself is when they marketed this is the scariest movie of all time. No, it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I heard people doing that with X. X is the best horror movie of the year. The best X is this, and I'm like, no. It's good, it's solid, but is it the best? Hell,
Yeah, I mean, is X the best horror movie I've seen? No.
Yeah.
Is X the best? It's one of the best horror movies I've seen, but it's not the best horror movie of all time. I hate it when they market films like that. I mean, put it this way, I can't remember if they did this. I know they did it on one of the horror movies. They said it was just as best horror movie since The Exorcist, and I hate when they do that. The movie was good, but it was nowhere near as good as The Exorcist.
No, it's not really fair to the film, is it?
No.
It really does disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Halloween, the guys with Halloween, I think they just put themselves in a corner. They put the first two movies out, and they laid their story out one way, and then the third, they just totally they had the winning narrative. They were doing it right, and then they came out there and they dropped Halloween Ends, and it was just like they just went. It's like a whole different writing team wrote that movie. and honest to God, why is Danny McBride within 10 miles of a horror film script? I mean, please. I mean, Danny McBride. I'm
not surprised. I mean, look, you got darn it, why is his name Skip? Why is his name? You got John Kowalski from you got him. He was in comedy. You had Jordan Peele. He was in comedy. All these people are in comedy and they're making decent horror films.
But I will say this though. I have to say this though. If you go back and watch Key and Peele, you will see that Peele was actually experimenting with his horror. There's some horror things that he did during a lot of those skits. He was practicing. He was practicing.
I never watched anything of that show. Excuse me.
Oh, that show was hilarious. But yeah, he was doing some horror elements, some horror things in there that people, you have to go back and rewatch that. It was interesting, and I mean, it wasn't all fun. It was just like, in fact, you're sitting there looking at it, going like, this is really different. And it's, of course it's different. You're doing a horror during a comedy sketch show, but like I said, he's like experimenting. He's like, can I do this? Will people respond to it? And obviously they did. Um, and of course, what did you think about Nope? I mean, did you see that in
Oh
the
yeah,
movie?
no. Yeah, Nope was pretty good. It wasn't the best out of his three movies so far, but I was quite. It was the performances, especially Kiki Palmer. I thought she was the best thing out of the whole film. Her performance was excellent, but the whole film was good. I mean, there's obviously the supposedly alien thing that was when we found out what it really was. Yeah, I thought it was decent. Excuse me.
Let's see. The professor is saying that Jeepers Creepers Reborn will probably be Monty G's pick for worst.
Well, it's a possibility. I won't say for sure. There's some other films.
Yeah, that did not look good at all. I love Jeepers Creepers. I love the first two, and
No,
man, I haven't seen the third one, and I saw Reborn. I saw the trailer for Reborn, and I was just like, nope. I
no,
think I think I think
no.
I think yeah. I think
No,
that
and I'll say this: I never saw the third one, but from what people say about that one, Reborn makes that movie look like an Oscar contender. That's how bad Reborn was.
yeah. Let's see. I feel there's a lot of studio notes demanding that they make movies and chart and changing a lot. Yeah, that seems to be a big problem, doesn't it? I mean, when you and I are watching films, I mean, do you think movies today are able to do, you heard the term like, well, you wouldn't be able to do that. You couldn't do that in today's movie. Do you think that it really applies to horror? I mean, do you think that horror now is able to do more or less than they used to do?
I think it depends upon the filmmaker and the studio. Obviously, sometimes if you have a filmmaker, like if you have James Wan making films, I don't think he will get that much studio interference as opposed to say maybe someone that's just relatively starting. And depending upon what the film is about, if it's a IP like say it was Chucky, obviously the studios will want to make sure that they're going to get their bang for their buck. So sometimes they might interfere in what the filmmaker is trying to do. I know, and that's one of the huge problems I have when it comes to certain horror films. Studios have a tendency to not know their audience especially when it comes to horror, because they have a tendency, they think that teenage kids go to horror films. No, teenage kids don't go to horror films. You know, people like us, we go to horror films.
Yeah.
We don't need for you to dumb down a horror film that should be successful if you allow more gore, more cursing, and not dumb it down to where it just takes away most of the effect of what the horror is supposed to be.
I think yeah, that's a really good point. I do think I've always looked at like PG-13 horror is for the kids, and then of course the rated R is for us older adults, the older fans, and
Mhm.
like they do the PG-13 to get the younger fans introduced to horror. Um, before some PG-13 horror films can pack a wallop. That's for sure. I mean, I'm pretty much a unrated R fan of horror.
Mhm.
But when a PG-13 horror is done right, and it can be done intelligently, and there are a few out there.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
there are plenty of successful PG 13 horror films that because they're intelligent, they're smart, that's acted very well, it's written very well. Yeah. Yeah, you can have a successful PG rated horror film just like you have a successful R rated horror film.
yeah, I mean, people think that like you lose audience with the rated R. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily true. I don't. I mean, because kids are going to get to see the movies regardless. I mean, how many times you go inside the theater and look
Hmm.
around and see a bunch of teenagers in there? I mean, all the time because they're going to go in to see it. They will see it.
Hmm.
Uh, let's see. Let's see. There was a. I'm going to catch up with her in the chat. Oh, Meg wants to know, how do you like the American Horror Show?
The one that just came out in New York.
Uh, yeah, I think she's talking about the TV series,
Yeah,
American
the
Horror.
American Horror Stories, the one that just came out, the America's Horror Story New York City. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Excuse me. It was pretty interesting. I think it showed a earlier side of how how gay men were back at the time, right there, as far as how they were treated by society, how they were treated by their family members, and how they were not treated well when it came to crimes against them. And of course, you also had the backdrop at the beginning of the AIDS virus. So I thought the show did a fantastic job of showing the relationship between the gay men, the couples, some of the harsh realities of some of the people that were living at that time. So they did a pretty good job. Wasn't really scary anything about this season of American Horror Story New York. I thought it was very fascinating character study and social commentary about homosexuality and the gay lifestyle during that time period.
Yeah. Now that's still on. That's still on. Is that still coming out on Fox?
Yeah, it's still coming on Fox. The season ended about a couple weeks ago.
Okay. I see. I didn't hear anything about that one. First, I don't have TV, so I get that part of it. Hopefully, it gets released on a home market. Are you a physical collector or are you streaming?
Both.
Both. Let's see. Let's see. Catching up here. I gotta admit, a PG-13 horror hits. I feel a little stronger because they overcome the boundaries. Yeah, sometimes yes, I agree with that. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. I mean, the movie that we covered last Sunday for the IFC show, a movie called The Vigil, that was rated PG-13, and let me tell you, that thing brought the noise. It was very effective and very haunting and disturbing on a lot of levels. Really good movie. So PG-13 can be done right if you're not afraid to take take a chance on it. Let's see, I'm catching up here. Let's see. Hobbs says he watched The Jeffersons and George got stabbed, and I'm waiting for part two. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got stabbed in one episode. Yes.
Wow, it must have been one of those a very special episode. You remember those growing up? When they were on TV,
remember, yes.
They have those serious sitcoms like Family Ties or whatnot, or Facts of Life. On Tonight, on a very serious, episode of, and then they would try to go drama. And sometimes it worked. Sometimes it worked. I love The Ring. It's a PG-13 movie. Yeah, The Ring was a good one too. Definitely. For PG-13. That's really good. So when did you get your start in horror, Monty? I mean, did you always grow up loving horror films, or?
I love it when people ask me this question. I actually got started watching horror when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I watched the Universal Monsters, The Mummy. That was my first horror film. And I eventually went on ahead, started watching the rest of the Universal Monsters. And then, of course, I started watching the Hammer horror film series, especially the Dracula film series with the late, great Christopher Lee. That's where I really got hooked into horror. Because I guess back then I had a morbid sense of humor, because for me back then, horror films were not scary. I thought they were funny. I cracked up laughing. I thought they were funny. I'd rather watch a horror film than watch The Wizard of Oz. My mom could not understand what was wrong with me. She said, "Monty, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you want to watch horror?" I said, "Don't you find that terrible?" I said, "No, I find it funny." I just cracked up laughing watching horror films.
It's funny because I remember I get that, because I did watch one movie, and my mother and my older brother, they were terrified of it. They were shitless. I watched it and it was like, I thought for a good movie, it's a great movie, but I never was scared of it. But whereas they were scared shitless, they wouldn't watch it again. And that was The Exorcist.
No.
Oh no. Exorcist would come on, they leave the room. I would sit there. I watched it the first time I watched it. I was just fascinated. I'm like, this is so cool. It's like, this is like, it's scary, but it's cool. I was like, but it wasn't like Phantasm, which was probably the first really horror movie that I really got scared at. I mean, it's like scared. That was probably the first movie that did that. Otherwise, no, I've never seen a movie that's just had me leaving all the lights on.
No,
What is the scariest movie you have watched? The one that stayed with you?
none really. I mean, I actually went and saw The Exorcist in the theaters. My mother told me I was too young to go see it, so me and my friends we snuck and go and saw it. So it was fascinating to see all the people lined up to go see that film, all the people in the theater freaking out of all the scenes, Reagan jumping down the bed, the vulgar language she was saying when she's, when she's doing it with the crucifix, when she's telling the doctors to F her and she's masturbating herself. And then, of course, when her head spins around for the first time, half the audience freaked out. People actually got up and left. People actually
Mhm.
threw up. Yeah, that stuff happened. Was there to see it. Didn't bother me at all. But I'll say this: the only horror film that actually had an effect on me was Jaws. My mother took my brother and I to go see it when it first came out in the theater, and ever since then, I don't swim in the ocean because sharks are real.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that's funny you say that too, because the first movie that I saw that spooked me too, like okay, was Grizzly, and and my grandparents had a big ranch in Northern California,
Mhm.
so you watch that, and then you come back there, and there's and damn well there's bears out there because they lived in a ranch in the forest. And so you go out there, damn well there's bears. You're always looking for bear tracks and shit like that. So
Mhm.
no, I don't like swimming either. I don't really like getting out. I was with some friends when I lived in Southern California. We went to the beach, and there was an outcropping of rock. So we all swim to the rock, right? Well, there's
Mhm.
7 or 8 of us. We all swim out there. So we're on the rock. We're all resting and shit like that. And then one of the guys says, "Hey, look at that." And we look behind, and sure shit enough, maybe about like 50, 60 yards off, there's
There's a
there's
shark.
a shark fin. Yeah, there's a shark
Mhm.
fin. Man, I'm telling you, it was truly was, last man standing. We all hit the water and swam. I never swam so hard as I did then. Um, yeah, that was it. That was it. Um, all right. Let me catch up on the chat here. Yeah, I mean, would you let your kids watch any of the movies today versus yesterday? What movie? What era do you think is more scarier? Was it the 80s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s? What movie do you think?
It's kind of
What decade?
hard. It's kind of hard to pinpoint that type of a question, um, because I grew up during the '70s. I'm a '70s kid, and most of the horror films that for me that came out of the '70s were more violent,
Hmm.
more direct. Obviously, you have The Exorcist. You had maybe some campy films like no Blackula and Scream, and Abby. But then you also had I Spit on Your Grave, The Last House on the Left, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those very violent horror movies that came out during the '70s. So there's simply no way in the world I would let a child see any of those during that time period. During the '80s, when the slasher film came out, they really weren't scary per se. They were violent and gory, but they really weren't scary. And I would tell parents this: it all depends upon your child. Now, of course, obviously, when my grandson was younger, not grandson, godson was younger, I would not allow him to see any type of horror movie that I would watch because I felt as though he was not ready to watch something that violent. As he got older and started to understand the difference between fantasy and reality, then it would be up to him to make the decision if he wanted to watch a horror movie. Then I would watch him something very light, like maybe The Addams Family that came out during the '90s. I'll let him watch that, or
Um,
Gremlins.
Right.
Mhm.
Anything PG and under you felt comfortable with.
Yeah, something that would see how he would react to seeing something like that, and then eventually graduate him over to other horror films, as he get older. But it depends upon, yeah, Doctor Shock during the '70s. Yeah, thanks, Mister Dan. Yeah, grew up watching Doctor Shock and the Creature double features back during the '70s.
Man, I grew up on those horror hosts too.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were fun.
Hey, Jen.
Uh, Cal's mentioning he's for rated R everything, but when a PG-13 hits right, I respect the heck out of it. Yeah,
Mm.
I do too. When it's done right, like The Vigil, yeah, I'm down with that. Um, and Hobbs sitting saying that's true, Cal. I just wasn't prepared for it, and there was a little blood. I was upset. Uh, oh yes, the Mummy, Dracula, love them all. Yeah, Universal monsters are amazing. You go back and watch them, and and you see them for the context for what they were at that time, and you
Hmm.
can definitely see why they were frightening even today. Um, yeah, I think a lot of the older movies from the 50s and 60s, I still think they still have a punch. I think a lot of it has to do with the actors. I think a horror movie definitely, I mean, if you have a good story and then you combine with a cast that actually believes what's going on, that doesn't just accept it for being campy.
Hmm.
You, I think you have a, I think you can make even the most silliest premise, you can make work, because the actors are selling it. They're giving it their all, and that really does help. Of course, you see the actors that are going through the paces, collecting a paycheck, and it can take the wheels off of any horror film. Let's see, the professor says, I think we liked horror movies at a young age because way back when kids had some back when kid movies had some freaky stuff. Yeah, I think it was a little bit. I think movies today now, I think they're more formulaic. They're more predictable than they were back in the day.
Hmm.
Not to say that they don't deliver, but a lot of them, not as many still hit as they did back then. Let's see. I seen that on cable. I must have missed that one. Dracula 2000. That was a good one. Let's see. Omen is scarier than The Exorcist. Shit. The Omen trailer. The Omen trailer. Hell yes, you're right about that. That Omen trailer was scary as hell. So was the Suspiria one.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Suspiria
that was
one.
I love was
Ooh,
an effective horror movie. I mean
man,
trailer. I would
that
say
tra-
trailer.
yeah, the trailer was scary as hell.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. I love the show. Okay, must be Jefferson. Let's see. Question: what is a dream crossover you would like to see? I think I already did it. I think a tag team. I would do a tag team. I would do the Mean One and Art the Clown versus Freddy and Jason.
that would be a nice tag team.
That would be a hell of a tag team.
Hmm.
Uh, let's see.
Hey,
Chucky,
Jamie.
Jimmy versus Leprechaun. That's a dream matchup. Um, Christopher Lee as the Mummy. Um, wow. I don't think he ever played the Mummy though, did he?
No, he
No,
did. He did
he did.
in the Hammer horror films. I think it was a Curse of the Mummy. I forget which one it
Really?
was. He was the Mummy, and Peter Cushing was No, wait a minute. I got that. That's Frankenstein. Yeah, yeah. I think you got that wrong. He was never the Mummy. I don't think he was because I think with all the Hammer films, the one that gets the a lot of the when you have the verses between the Hammer shows versus the Universal ones, you have Boris Karloff and whatchamacallit playing Frankenstein and Frankenstein Monster versus Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as the same two characters. There's this nice poster when you actually have the Universal versus Hammer with their respective characters.
And Jimmy saying that Christopher Lee did play the Mummy once.
I think he did. I think I
Okay.
can't remember, but I know he did play the Mummy, but I know he also played Frankenstein's monster and Hammer's version of that story.
Um, see, Kevin's from Haunted by Horror. Would you have David Howard Thornton play both roles?
Well,
Yeah,
why not?
why not?
They can
Why
be,
not?
yeah.
Yeah. Not my. The question is going to be, for him. I'm so glad for him. Is that in the mean one, at least he'll be able to speak. But I suspect he'll be rhyming all his dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Um,
I don't think he's going to speak. I think he's probably going to be doing some of his because I didn't see him speak during the trailer, but I don't know if he'll speak in this one because if he speaks, they might, if he actually starts sounding like the Grinch, his Dr. Seuss's family might sue him.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? You're right because I don't think that they'll have him. Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, 'cause you're right. He couldn't just come out there and like, and they probably can't. He probably can't have a dog. He probably can't name it Max.
Hmm.
Probably can't call. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do to get around all that. Instead of Whoville, maybe they'll call it Smellville or something
No,
like that.
it's called Newville.
Newville. Okay, yeah.
It's Newville. They do have in the trailer. They do have this one guy rhyming.
Oh boy. You're oh boy.
It's funny though.
Man, I'm just thinking about this because his Dr. Seuss's family, they protect his name really fiercely.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean they. Now, did you ever see speaking of Dr. Seuss? Because he was a twisted madman in his own sense. I mean, a lot of his stories were really quite spooky. I mean, if you really think about that, I mean, that's probably, I think for the most of us, that actually might be truly our first encounter with horror.
Hmm. I don't know. It to me when it came to Dr. Seuss, it was okay. I really didn't mind Cat in the Hat, and then I actually like Green Eggs and Ham. I like that better than Cat in the Hat.
Um, because I was just like some of the drawings and some of the creatures he would do. I mean,
Hmm.
back then it was a little bit, it was. I know my brothers got a little spooked by it.
Yeah, I really didn't get spooked by the book or any of his characters.
Um, so what movies? What movies? Speaking of that, limitations. But is there anything that you'll limit yourself to? Like if you see it, you'll go like, well, besides the necrophilia, is there anything?
Um,
You just,
I don't know. I've kind of basically seen everything when it comes to horror movie. I really haven't really put off anything. Because I really haven't seen any film that went too far when it comes to anything disgusting. I mean, obviously the sadness went there when it came out, but you know that was more of the gore than what the content was. It was just one of the goriest films I've seen so far when it came to the sadness. But no, I really haven't seen a horror movie do anything that would okay, that's it. You crossed the line.
right,
I can't go there. Not
right.
not yet, but I'm pretty sure. Um, maybe there's one filmmaker that will. No, wait a minute. Maybe a suburban film.
Yeah, yeah, a Serbian film.
Yeah, I
Um,
would say a suburban film because I can only saw it once and once was enough.
yeah, I
Yeah,
love those type of movies.
that and the Human Centipede, the first one.
Centipede, that's amazing movie though.
Yeah, I only saw the first one because I heard the next two. They're just rehashes of the first one, and it's like that's it. I don't need to see anything more about that.
Well, the second film is better than the first film.
Hmm.
It's more disturbing than the first film, and the third film, as I heard, is just no, just not good at all. But the second one is supposed to be much more, way more over the top than the first one. The first one's epic.
Hmm.
Uh, but you're right. It's not one of those movies that you rush out and watch.
Yes, and oh yeah, another one. Professor said Sallow.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, that was just one watch, and that was it.
What's the one they just released this year called? I think it's called Searching for Megan. Oh my God, I read the synopsis on that thing. That'll be a movie I'll be passing by. Yo, I was like,
I thought that
that
came out already, Searching for Megan, because I heard a
yeah.
lot of people didn't like it because it's supposed
Oh no, people did not like that movie at all. It's very, 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 very disturbing. Very disturbing. Serbian film and Solo are one and done films. Yeah, Megan is missing. Yeah.
oh yeah, Megan is missing. Yeah.
Oh, man,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean because I actually saw that one. Yeah, the ending it was kind of predictable because I kind of figured that was going to be the end of the film. So to me, it wasn't disturbing anything. It was just too predictable.
See, Kevin's saying he's being abused by the cheetah. I'm okay. The cheetah, I don't know where the cheetah's at. He's not coming up for this show. Um,
The kid is chilling somewhere.
yeah, he might be sleeping in the box. I got a new computer a couple weeks ago, and I
Mm.
have an empty box up there, and sometimes he'll sleep in there while I'm doing the show. Um, I heard him earlier jumping in it. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got limitations, right?
Oh
I
yeah, we
mean,
all do. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even if yeah, there's just some things that people, one and done it, so to speak. Um, let's see. There are just some movies you don't want to see more than once. Hey Terrence, how are
Hey, what's
you?
up, Terrence?
It's really, yeah, it's late for you.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know. Yeah, it's late in the UK.
yeah. But thank you for stopping by, my friend.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, let's talk about of course, the battle of the two titans. So why A24? Why what makes A24 really happy for you? Why do you like the movie so much?
I think because this terminology that I've heard called intelligent horror movies, even though I don't know why you would call them intelligent horror movies, that's the term that they have. Um, I think A24, obviously because of the writers the filmmakers that they get, and the type of movies that they marketed, they tend to be more of a more cerebral horror films that they put out as opposed to the standard horror films that most people see. I mean, a prime example is the Babadook, and a lot of people hated the fact, and I blame A24 for this, that they marketed it as a creature feature film. And I said to myself, this is not a creature feature film. Yes, there's a creature in it, but it's more about the characters, not about the Babadook. Yes, he plays a role in the film, but he is just a figurehead regarding the main characters dealing with grief and loss and sorrow and trying to deal with her bratty ass kid.
Uh, so would you say that Babadook is one of your favorite films?
No, no,
No.
it's a decent horror film, but it's not one of my favorite ones. Obviously, one of my favorite ones from A24 is The Witch. I just, ooh man, can't get enough of Black Phillip
Uh, uh,
and those
so, so,
twins.
so should I go ahead and tell them now, boys and girls? Should I tell them? I am. I'm gonna tell them. So the Babadook, not A24,
Hmm.
IFC Midnight.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that. I forgot that was
So,
not A24.
so you're acknowledging that the IFC Midnight does make intelligent horror and superior movies. Okay, we can go home now.
Uh,
All right.
it's just that when it comes to A24, whether it's Hereditary or The Witch or any other horror films that they come out with, most of them seem to be very good, not just on the horror, it's the characters that they have, how the film is directed, how it's presented, and of course, obviously the horror. But I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy most of the horror films that come out from A24.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely got the publicity. But I just feel like for ISC's been doing what they're doing. They've been doing it for a lot longer,
Hmm.
and for me, they do it a lot better. I do like a lot of A24 films. Like I do like The Witch. You're right. Black Phillip is the only thing about Black Phillip is that he takes you out of the movie. That's the only bad thing I would say about it. He does. He does. It's not by design. It's an accident. But
Hmm.
in the way that Eggers filmed it, it takes you out of the movie. Black Phillip is not scary at all. Not
Yeah,
even.
I don't think he was meant to be scary. I think he's supposed to he's just a representation of what's going on with the farm. And of course, Mercy just she just cracks me up when she's dealing with Black Phillip.
Yeah. I mean, it made me laugh too. It made
Uh,
me laugh too, and it's like I don't think we're supposed to be laughing here. I don't.
no, we're
I
not
think
supposed to be laughing.
I
Uh-huh.
think if you ask Robert Eggers, he's going to be looking at you like, "Why are you laughing at that?" Um, yeah, but I do think a lot of their films come out. And, they're okay. Like with the X, I was really stunned because it's like I was watching everybody like fall over themselves trying to heap more praise on it, and I'm going like, how is this any honest to God? How is this? How's this any different from any of the Friday the 13th movies or Halloween movies? How is this any different? It's not. It's like it's like people are expecting it like it. What'd you do? What'd you think it did? Reinvent the wheel?
It
It's not.
didn't. I think because of the killer and the character, you did not expect that to happen. And when she does kill the first time, you're like, holy shit. That just, and then you just knew it was you were in for something special. Does it reinvent the wheel? Of course not. It doesn't reinvent anything. It just show anything new. No, I mean it's like this. It does have that Texas Chainsaw vibe because that's how great Eggers film made the film, and how grainy it looks, and it's definitely had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel on it. But with the performances of Mia Goth and in both roles,
Wow. You thought it had the Texas Chainsaw vibe to it?
yeah, it had a vibe to it. I mean, because of the
I
setting.
oh, I didn't get that at all. I
Yeah.
thought it was way tame, way tamer than Friday.
Like I said, when I say vibe, I don't mean it's just like it. It's just that because of the setting, they're in the isolated Texas on a
Oh,
farm. So you do get those Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. Yeah, but obviously it's not Texas Chainsaw
oh
because
no.
he doesn't attack people for chainsaw.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is just one of those movies that just like that sets up a tent in your head and you stay with it. You know, it stays
Uh-huh.
in. I mean, you know the ending of it, the kitchen table scene. I mean, it's just like so many epic scenes in that movie. But I mean, I did like X and the fact that I thought Kid Cudi was outstanding.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
Kid
not
Cudi, he was
expecting,
great. Yeah.
man, I was not expecting that. I was not
Hmm.
expecting him to be as good as he was. And I also really liked Brittany Snow playing against type. You know, she's
Hmm.
always playing the good girl type, and then we see her going against totally what she's ever played before.
Hmm.
Um, do you think Jenna Ortega, and who's in the movie as well, do you think she's being overhyped as far as the new modern it girl? I mean, in horror, I mean, seems like she's in the Scream series now. She's doing the Wednesday Addams. Is she just being pushed on us because I really didn't see anything super special about her.
I think if you see Wednesday, you'll agree with that statement.
That
I won't say anything else other than excuse me. Other than yes, I think after seeing Wednesday, I think everyone will agree that she's definitely earned her stripes when it comes to horror.
yeah, because I'm just not. I don't know. I mean, she just okay with Wednesday. Um, yeah. Everybody seems to like Wednesday. I
Oh
was
yeah,
just the one thing I was just questioning more than anything else was Luis Guzman uh, uh as
as
Gomez.
Gomez, I won't say anything. I won't ruin it. I think once you see it, you probably understand why I say that.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling him in that. I mean, I like Luis Guzman. I do. You know, he's a fine actor,
Mm.
but I just didn't think that he was right for Gomez. I was just like John Aston and Raul Julia. I'm going like, yeah, I'm not really going for that. I mean,
Hmm.
just yeah. Um. So, what do you? Let's talk about your. Let's talk about a couple of the movies that you did not like this year, because everybody likes to hear about that. Other than how, okay. So I know you got a top. I know you got a bottom 10. So you can do honorable mentions if you want to, so you don't reveal your bottom 10. But what are some of the movies that this did not really float your boat that, or did not meet your expectations?
Obviously, the monsters. Someone please tell Rob Zombie not to write anymore. It's
Oh,
like this. I see his love for the monsters because how well it looks, but the story and nothing against Shiramu Zombie. You know, he could at least for once picked an actress who is more uh has more experience in comedy than putting his wife in. And not saying that she didn't do a good job, but you can it for me it just wasn't there. It wasn't funny. The guy that played Herman, he's telling me it's like this. You get the reason why he tells bad jokes because of the brain that he has, but that's overdone too many times. The only good thing about the film was the actor who played Grandpa or the Count in this particular one. So very, very disappointed in the monsters because I grew up watching the monsters and I really wanted to enjoy it because I wanted to see if Rob Zombie can do something other than what he's done in the past. But it's just a misfire when it comes to the monsters. Um, Another disappointment. I gotta take a look. I've seen so many blasted movies. I gotta.
See that in the chat they're saying that the reason they picked Luis Guzman is because they were basing it more on the cartoon series than the live action films, and he looks more like the cartoon Gomez.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
He does not.
yeah, I thought he was. I thought the cartoon one he was tall and thin. Luis Guzman is more of a fire plug. He's more of a he's stocky. He's a good actor, but it's just like sometimes he just
he's a good actor, but it's like this. Sometimes you have to understand what you're casting for. Oh yeah, another one I was disappointed was Orphan First Kill. Very disappointed.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
very disappointed. Very,
wow,
very disappointed in that one.
That's actually one movie I thought people were. I mean, I was a little confused. I mean, everybody seemed to really like that movie. What didn't you like about it? You think it was took too long to come out with a sequel?
I think the surprise. We already know who Esther is, and I didn't like. I thought the twist. Once the twist was revealed, I thought that was going to elevate the movie, but it actually brought it down even more. And then when we finally get to the ending of the film, it was it was a CGI mess.
Yeah.
CGI mess, and it was total. I mean, it's like suspending your belief is one thing, but doing something outright can't happen because it's impossible. That's what ruined the movie. It's bad enough that the movie is not that good. The twist is okay, but it doesn't elevate the movie as you think it should. And then that's that. And very disappointed in the Orphan First Kill. Let's see. It was very disappointed in. Let's see what else. Obviously, Firestarter.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about Firestarter because it really surprised me. Because I'm with you. I did not like what they did with Firestarter. I thought that was just like it was sort of like The Shining. It's like, can't you guys just leave it as you look? If you buy a property, right? Like this is how I look at it. Look, you want to buy The Shining, right? You want to buy it because you like the book. Okay, you're gonna buy the book. Why are you taking the book and turning around and messing with it? It's just like there's, I was reading an article today about the new movie coming out, M. Night Shyamalan, the house and that cabin the cabin. And that's based off a bestseller, and the writer who Paul Tremblay, he sold the rights to his movie, and now they give it to M. Night Shyamalan, who has come in there, and he has they already had original script made. He came in there, he rewrote it, so now they're sitting there going like, will M. Night Shyamalan show enough discipline to go by the book? Or is he going to do his usual bullshit and come in there and try to change it up for the sake of changing it up? And they were talking to Tremblay about that, and that was one of his fears. It's like, I don't have any say into it. I don't have any skin in the game anymore. I sold it.
Yeah, if he sold it, he sold it. He can't do anything about it.
But the thing is, it's like you bought the book because of the book of what he wrote. Stephen King, The Shining. You come out there and then you go ahead and you twist it and you ruin it. It's like, why did you buy the book in the first place? Because why did you buy it? If you're gonna go around and think, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna put it. That's not what people are expecting. People who read the book or love the book, they're gonna come out there, they're gonna be irritated by it.
Hey, Mr. Bones.
And Horror Tuber of the Month is here. Congratulations, Mr. Bones, who won the Horror Tuber of the Month. He beat a very good field. Holy shit, that field was stacked. I feel that was some really good. That was probably the deepest field I've ever seen. Some 4 really great channels, and Mr. Bones, he dominated. quite honestly.
Mhm.
He just so congratulations again, Bones. Yeah, but the book though is that's what they do. They turn and twist the the book, and you just wonder why did you even trying to make a movie out of it in the first place? If you're gonna do that, I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's the more than likely it's the movie studios, it's the filmmakers. They want to see if this is going to make any money. When obviously when they read the book, they must have felt something that was decent about it, and they felt as though you can make this into a movie, and this movie might be able to make a money. And obviously, some aspects of the book have whatever happens in the book. They obviously can't translate it well into film, so they have to make some changes to make it appeal better in the film. And sometimes that helps, and sometimes it doesn't.
You would think that before a studio would do that, before I buy a property,
Hmm.
you would think that they would sit there and say, okay, we're thinking about buying this book, or we bought the rights to it, right? We bought it, for a year. We're gonna hold it for a year and see what we can do with it. You would think that you'd turn around and just commission like they did with in the cabin, um, or like to write a script based on the book before you commit to making a movie, just to see how it works. Storyboard it for us. How would you do? How would you do? How would you do the book into the movie? Now you can't put the whole damn thing into the movie because it's obviously too small. But you can at least put enough there that people recognize it. For the book. Like okay, I remember that part. I remember this part. Yeah, I remember that part. Because that's what people want to see the movie. They want to see what they read. Um, Firestarter, that was a great book. It's one of Stephen King's better books.
Hmm.
It's really good. The first movie they made, they sort of blew it. Um, and the second one, they had a really good cast in it. And Keith Thomas directed that, and he's the one that actually directed The Vigil. So the man has skills. I mean, the Vigil's very good, and it's probably the reason why he got tapped to do Firestarter.
Hmm.
But I'm with you. I was very disappointed with how that movie turned out, and I'm not really necessarily sure that it was all Keith Thomas. I have a feeling, you know, uh, Universal probably put their fingers into the pie, and they shouldn't have. Um, let's see. Oh, Eva Green would make an awesome Morticia.
Yeah, I think she would.
Holy shit! That's yes, yes. Yeah, I like Catherine Zeta-Jones, but I like Eva Green as that. Yeah, that would have been really cool. Professor saying, I doubt studios read the books. They only buy the properties that they see a bestseller. Because yeah, you would think. See that sort of really,
Yeah,
and I
that
think
that
that's really
that
what happened for
sort
a
of
lot of.
makes a little bit more sense because I don't think they read the books. I know the filmmakers they have to read the book because they have to come up with the screenplay and they obviously have to make changes because some aspects of the books might not transfer well, so that's the reason. But I'm not surprised if movie studios don't read the books.
Yeah, I think they just get the New York Times bestseller, and they go ahead and they buy they just continually buy the top 10 bestsellers. They option them out for future movie opportunities. Let's see. Let me catch up here. Um, the chat has been flying. I'm just trying
Oh
to
yeah, no.
keep up. The girl that played Wednesday in Addams Family Reunion also played Wednesday in the new Addams Family TV series. She has played Wednesday more than not. I don't who was that which
You
one was
talking
that?
about the animated Addams Family that they had the two movies on?
Yeah, I don't know who did the two animated movies. Um let's
Hey
see.
Eric.
Hey Eric, let's see. I'm trying to let's see catch up here. Let's see. I got let's see. Usual BS dude hating on Midnight. You know what though? M Night Shyamalan. Man, he's so hit and miss. I think he's probably the most decisive horror director today. I think he is. I think without a doubt he's the most decisive. I
Mhm.
mean, you either love him or you hate him. There's no like, yeah, sometimes he's good and sometimes he's bad. I've never met anybody who's been a middle of the road M. Night Shyamalan fan. You either love him or you don't. Um, he's frustrating as hell because there's sometimes he's genius, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and then there's times where he's just a shit. Like The Happening and The Village.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, ugh. Um, yeah. Um, so I want to go back to Jordan Peele and talk to you a little bit about that.
Okay.
Um, one thing I was really curious about, and I want to hear your feeling about this, as you know, do you think that as far as decisive goes, I see a lot of people, they never really put like top or ranking movies, right? I've never heard of a director who's only done 3 movies get jumped on as much as Jordan Peele has as far as being called overrated. Do you think that's because of the movie he's making, or do you think it's a little bit darker than that?
Um, I think it's mainly because of the movie he is making. I mean, when you take a look at Get Out and the commentary that he's telling here, it's a little different version of racism that we really don't see in any movies or even in a horror movie that's actually out there, but we've actually never seen it before. That's the first time we actually see racism in that context, and it's how well written that how he tells it, uh, how fascinating the characters are. I mean, actually, how good the actors are. That's one good thing, and how fascinating the characters are, and how well the story is paced, and how you see how his reactions to the people that are there and how much they're like admiring him and all they want to be him, and they've actually then he finds out that that's what's actually happening. They're actually going to come here. I think the funniest part of the film is when the white woman starts rubbing his shoulders, starts looking at her like she wanted to have sex with him right now, not wait for the operation to take place. And
Right.
she comes out and asks Michelle Williams' character what the sex is like, and it was like, what the hell are you talking about?
I just feel like I just feel like I said, I see a lot of people, a lot of in the horror community here in the
Hmm.
tube. They every single one. I mean, I rarely see anybody really praising his movies in our community. I see a lot of them going like, I'm gonna rank his movies. He's put out 3 movies, 2 more horror, one science fiction. What are you rating? What are you ranking them on? I mean, it's like I don't get that. And it's like, why do you and people are calling, well, he's overrated. Again, 3 movies. And all his movies have made money. I mean, they've all been hits.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know a director that's come out there swinging and hit 3 home runs the first 3 movies. I don't think anybody's done that. As far as that goes, directors come out there in the horror community that has come out there and hit 3 right in a
And
row.
then get three, and then get an Academy Award for one of them.
Right. And,
Hmm.
and then it came out and also did a remake of a classic TV series.
Hmm.
And from my understanding, did an outstanding job there too with the Twilight Zone remakes. Overseeing them and producing them. Now, the only misfire that I felt that he did do, and it's hard to know exactly how much input he had, because he could have just for some reason, the more I thought about this and see if you agree with me or not, the more I thought about his name with being associated with Candyman,
Hmm.
the more I associated with him, it was his name. I don't never got the feeling that he was actually involved in the movie. I mean, like on the day to day. I
Hmm.
just feel like he was just there to help sell the movie, because I don't think that's the kind of movie that he would have made. I think he would have went in a whole different direction.
Yeah, because really, because Dell was asking about what was the new Candyman. I like the new Candyman. I like the direction they were trying to go with. I like the fact that they decided not to do the same thing that we saw in the original Candyman. Obviously, Tony Todd, he has a presence at the end of the film. I really didn't have any problem with the new Candyman. I thought it was a very nice horror film. Wasn't great, but it was decent.
I felt like Tony Todd got shafted though. You can't. I
You're
do. I
not the
do.
only one who said that.
I'm just, I was so psyched up for it. And then Phil told me, Phil Creepy Vids, he's the one that came and told me, he says, yeah, he's in it for like 15 seconds. I'm like, what do you mean 15 seconds? Like, I thought it was an exaggeration. No, he's literally there for 15 seconds.
Mhm.
I just, that made me angry. That actually made me angry because I'm thinking, you know what? You wouldn't even have this damn film if it wasn't for Tony Todd. If it wasn't for Tony Todd, you wouldn't have the series, you wouldn't have the franchise, you wouldn't have anything with this.
Yeah, I don't. I think the filmmakers were trying not to make this into a carbon copy of Candyman. I think they wanted to put their own step. That's why you don't see hit Tony Todd until the end of the film. Toward
They
the end.
did the same thing to Guillermo del Toro too. With Hellboy.
Mhm.
They took him out of the picture. They took Ron Perlman out of the picture. I mean, they didn't listen. They didn't listen to him. They didn't listen to Del Toro. They didn't listen to the fans. The fans were sitting there before once they announced it. The fans were sitting there going like, "Yeah, you got to bring back Ron Perlman for at least one more. At least if anything, to pass the torch.
Mhm.
Like they did with Tony Todd. You can't pass a torch. You can't even light a damn torch in 15 seconds. Much less pass it. Hey Frosty, how are you? Glad you're here. Um, yes, you can, Nanette, for sure. You can ask me. Let's see. Yeah, it was way better than the Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zone. Yeah, I have to go back and revisit those Forrest Whitaker ones. There was a few good ones in that revival.
Mhm.
I can't crush that one. Forrest Whitaker. There were some creepy ones. Um, which while it wasn't great, the groundwork was laid was great. They opened up for the story to be bigger and do better and more and better with it. I just feel they could have just did a. I thought they could have did a better way of passing the torch. I do. I think when you have a legacy character, that's what they're calling them now. I
Mhm.
think I think you can do better by them because you're not going to be there making this movie if it wasn't for them and for the performances. You're not going to be there doing it. I mean, Tony Todd was the franchise, and it's like, okay, we're going to only give you 15 seconds. It's like every single fan that watched it that loved the series was completely insulted by that. It's like,
Mhm.
I was. I have the new movie. I don't know when I'm going to watch it. I don't have any desire to watch it right now because I'm so bummed out by it. It's like, yeah, I'll probably get around to it, but I'm not fired up to watch it because I don't know. When you grow up with an icon, you want the icon. Okay, maybe you can't replace him, but you at least want to see him being represented. In a respectful manner for the actor or the character, because, like I said, you wouldn't be there without that character or the performance. Um, yeah, I plan on watching it sometime, Cal. I'm just not sure exactly when. Um, yeah. What are you? Our last topic for you. What are you looking forward to next year? I mean, there's going to be a lot of good horror movie coming out next year. What are you looking forward to seeing the most?
I'm pretty sure everyone is looking forward for Megan.
Oh my gosh, that Megan! I got to see that. Even though I don't want to. Even though I don't want to, I know I'm going to.
Yeah, so yeah, everyone's going to be seeing Megan because I got to tell you, we're going to see a lot of who's the better killer doll, Megan or Chucky.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you meant about the other Megan I was talking about.
Oh,
Um, yeah, the new Friday the 13th prequel series coming out.
yeah, yeah,
I,
Camp
I
Crystal
admit,
Lake.
I admit, Monty, I am fired up for that.
Hmm.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Victor Miller. I think that he deserves this. It's going to be a really cool to see what they do with it. Yeah. David's saying that he's looking forward to the Mission Impossible and
Mm,
Indiana Jones.
yeah, that
Dial
move.
Dial
Yeah,
of Destiny.
yeah. That trailer just came out for the new Indiana Jones picture. Obviously, we have Evil Dead Rises coming out next year. the new Salem's Lot movie that's coming out next year, because that's going to be getting interesting.
Now, is that getting a TV release, or is that coming to the theater?
I think that's just give me a second here. It's being released theatrically. There's no release date yet, but it's going to be released in theaters.
Kelly Allen mentioning Scream.
Yeah, Scream 6 is coming out.
Let's see. Frosty hated Scream 5. Let's see. The Evil Dead Rises. I think they said they're doing pre-production on Quiet Place 3 for a 2025 release. Is what I saw that.
Yeah, that's coming out. There's a movie called The Last Voyage of the Delamere. If you know your Dracula's history, you know that's the ship Dracula traveled on when he on his way from London, from Transylvania to London. That's coming out next year.
What about Maxine?
Oh yeah, Maxine's coming out this year. Oh yeah, and of course the new trilogy of The Exorcist is coming out next year.
I don't know about that. What do you think? I am not holding my breath on that.
I don't know. It depends upon the story, and then I'm pretty sure once the first trailer comes out, we'll all have a huge discussing about it. I know I will. I know I will.
I just don't. I think it might be bloody, but it ain't gonna be anything like it was in the first one. There's just no way they're gonna show a 12-year-old girl masturbating with a crucifix. No way that's happening on any horror film. No, not today. You know, it's even a horror film now. Even now, it's like, you know, there's a lot that we don't see in horror films anymore. You know, there's no more. I think the last major movie that I saw with big nudity in it was probably the Friday the 13th remake. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, like, you know, like. Yeah, it had a topless scene in X, but I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like,
I know,
like the 80s slasher type. You don't see that anymore.
No, you don't see gratuitous nudity in horror films like you did back in the 80s.
Nope. Even the drug use, you don't really see that much. Let's see. I think that was always the plan, though, was to do Maxine next year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think Pearl was a surprise.
Oh yeah,
What did you think of Pearl?
Pearl was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm more hyped for that than I was for X.
Yeah, Pearl was fantastic. Mia Goth, even though she deserves an Academy nod for it, even though more likely she won't because the Academy doesn't like horror films, but you know she deserves an Academy Award.
No, they're not gonna. Half the nudity in horror films came from Linnea Quigley.
Oh yeah,
you're not.
Oh man,
Saw 10 next year. You know, I'm not excited about that. I'm not. I don't know. You know what? Maybe if he's there to, I don't know. I thought Spiral left the door open for the series to go forward. I don't think I want to see an 82-year-old Tobin Bell playing Jigsaw. I'm not really excited about that. I'm just not. I mean, you know, call me ageist, but
you know, but I'm like that too. Yeah, what's up, Dave? Yeah, it's just like I really don't know what to say about this latest version of Indiana Jones, and you know Harrison Ford. He's up there in age, and I don't know how this is going to come off. The guy's old.
Yeah, I mean they're de-aging him too, and it's like why? I mean, it sounds like it's going to be back in World War II, and it's just like the guy's 85 years old. He was alive when World War II was still going on. Harrison Ford almost. I'm not really excited either. I'm not really, you know, I saw the preview of it and I'm like, I'm just not excited for it. I'm like, I'm not believing it. You know, damn well it's all in front of a green screen. You
I
know,
know,
it's like,
yeah, and it's like, it's like as much as I respect Harrison Ford, and it's like, come on, it's like, how you going to make a man his age do half the stunts that he did and make it look believable?
right. It's gonna look it looks totally CGI.
Hmm.
And I'm not really excited about that. So Indiana Jones, um, yeah, yeah, that's the thing too. That's the thing fans need to do too. They need to learn how to let franchises pass the torch. That's a big problem for horror films, movies in general, but horror films too. You have to let people pass the torch. You can't just keep going back to the same old, same old. Yeah. Let's see. Frosty's mentioning Dark Harvest, the movie that's coming out next year.
Hmm.
Let's see. Of course, I'm excited because there's going to be new Godzilla coming out next year.
Hmm.
The new Gamera animated series is coming out next year. I'm excited about that. Scream, the new Scream movie, yay or
Yeah,
nay?
Scream movies coming out.
Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do this without Nev Campbell.
Um, Her series did not get picked up by ABC. David Kelly wrote a series for her called
Hmm.
Avalon. It
Yeah, I
got
know.
passed on. So I do think that we'll be seeing Nev Campbell in Scream 7. I do think. I think we'll probably see her in the credits, in the roll of the credits.
Hmm.
I do think we'll see her in the credits, and then she'll be back on for Scream 7.
Hmm.
Yep, yep, because of that. I saw that and I'm like, yeah, she's gonna have to do something. Um, yeah. What else is there? Yeah, there's a lot. I guess new Friday the 13th coming out, or new Freddy coming out.
No, I didn't see anything about a new Freddy coming out.
Everybody says if Robert England isn't Freddy, they won't watch it. No, he can't do it forever. No, no. And the thing that it is though is actually had the they actually had the perfect actor to pick up the mantle from Robert England,
Hmm.
and they blew it. They absolutely
Yeah,
blew it.
Jackie Earl Haley. Yes.
Oh, just come on, seriously? That's Freddy Krueger. That's Freddy Krueger to me. That's exactly how he should be. Fuck the humor shit. Give me a Freddy mixed with some Rorschach. Give me someone that will have some put some teeth into the character. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a new Puss in Boots coming out.
Yeah, no.
Of course, the new Avatar coming out. That's more science fiction, though, right? Are you a big
Yeah,
science fiction fan?
I
Or are
love
you
science fiction. I have no problem with sci-fi.
science fiction? You like the monster movies and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know some fans. You mentioned other genres, and they just won't go out. They won't go outside the other genres. What other movies do you like to watch, Monty? I mean, when you're not watching horror movies.
Obviously, superhero movies, sci-fi movies, action movies. Comedies are kind of a hit or miss for me because everyone has their own type of comedy that they like. Documentaries, true crime stories, all that good stuff.
Right. Right. Do you guys have some questions for Monty? You can ask him anything you want. He said, "Ask him anything you want." All right. Tell me. Here's one for you. Tell me tell me your 5 favorite screen queens all time.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I guess you can say Laurie Strode. Um, and then really not screen queen's really not my thing when it comes to horror films. But if you're going to pick screen creams, and put it this way, give me a second here.
He's got a list. He's got a list of his favorite actresses. That's yeah. You know what though? That's not a bad idea. So Jamie Lee Curtis, definitely table setter.
Hmm.
Um,
Let's see. I would go with pick the normals like Jamie Lee Curtis, Heather Langenkamp, Naomi Watts. But if I'm going to pick one of the best screen queens that she doesn't get any credit for is Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part Two. She doesn't get the credit for actually really figuring out who Jason was and how to use his love for his mother against him. I mean, she never gets the credit. Amy Steele. Everyone talks about Sydney and Jamie Lee Curtis and Heather Langenkamp. Where's Amy still going to get some love for being
Yeah,
one of the
I
top?
I thought what, and also for Chris, in the third movie,
Mhm.
I thought she was really strong too. But you're right. I mean, you look at Amy Steele in the second one, and then Chris in the third one. I definitely think that for the most part, I think Friday the 13th, the series has the most intelligent screen queens, the
Yeah.
most capable. Um, I mean, you even look at Alice. She had to overcome a lot. You
Mhm.
know, to survive. I definitely like the girls who played the final girls more on Friday the 13th than any other series.
Yeah.
Uh, I just feel like they now they're talking Creed 3. Oh, you mean Rocky 3? I done again. Oh my god! I saw the previews for Creed 3. The only thing I kept on looking for Mr. T because holy shit! If that isn't this, I could not believe I'm going. Did they actually do Rocky 3 for Creed 3? Oh my god! So the next time we see Creed 4, he's gonna be in Russia. He's-
Yeah.
oh,
to,
I would.
to, to answer the entertainment hideouts question, some of my favorite horror comedies are Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, um, Shaun of the Dead. Because really don't have a lot of favorite horror comedies because, like I said, we all have different forms of comedy. But the only really two of my favorite ones, because I don't have a top 10 when it comes to horror comedies, because horror comedies are me. It's really hard trying to determine, are we going to make it seriously but have some laughs, but we're just going to be just silly over the top laughs? And some of that works for some people, some that doesn't work for me. But I'll say there's two of my favorite horror comedies are Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, horror comedies are really hard. I
Hmm.
mean, people mention the American Werewolf in London probably being one of the top ones,
Hmm.
and that movie is it's there's a lot of laughs in it and everything else until like the last 5-10 minutes, and then it's all of a sudden then it goes way dark really fast, and it's like, damn, it's like all that feeling you could built up, and all of a sudden it's at the end of it, he's laid out deader than a macro, and you're going like that's really fucked up. And
Hmm.
that's how you leave the theater. You're not really thinking about how much all the laughs you had. You're thinking of the fact that David got shot to shit. Let's see. David's Screen Queens: Jamie Lee Curtis, Sigourney Weaver, Heather Langenkamp, Vera Farmiga. Yes, Vera can play anything.
Hmm.
Vera and Patricia Clarkson. You got to throw Patricia Clarkson in that mix. Barbara Crampton, yes, yes. Debbie Rochon, you got to throw her into that.
Hmm.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, let's see. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm not really holding my breath for that. I am holding my breath for Shazam. I think Shazam will be a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, did you get to see? Did you see it to see Black Adam?
Yeah, I saw Black Adam. It was okay. It was okay. I don't know what Dwayne Johnson was doing. It was like playing a version of the Terminator, the good Terminator, Terminator 2.
Uh, oh God, man, yeah. Origin films are really rough. I mean, I know they came out. I just didn't like. I was just really scared for the movie. Is when I saw him. He's, on his Instagram. He's showing how he's getting ready for the role, and then he says, "Okay, we're gonna go shoot Black Adam," and then you don't expect to hear from the guy for 2 or 3 months, and then like 2 weeks later, he says, "I'm back." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you didn't you go? Aren't you filming the movie?" And then it's like he's back in 2.5 weeks, and I'm going, oh man, this is gonna be all this is just CGI. He's just acting against the green screen. That's all we're gonna get, and pretty much that's what we got. It's no practical effects, no nothing. I mean, I saw the previews. I'm like, man, this is all green screen. I mean, Jesus, they're not even trying anymore. Yeah. Let's see, horror comedy. Okay, all right. There's people throwing some good comedies there.
uh,
Um, some horror comedies.
Return of the Living Dead. It was okay.
Uh, Final Girls. Man, that's the one that's people are really
Yeah,
discovering that movie.
I know.
That's
Yeah, I actually did like the Final Girls. I thought that was decent.
I thought that was people seem to be discovering that more and more every year.
Hmm.
It definitely has become a cult movie for sure. See, Nanette says her five Screen Queen, Danielle Harris, Tessa Familia, she did The Nun, Sigourney Weaver, Heather Langenkamp, and Nev Campbell. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Evil Dead Rise is coming out next year. That'll be interesting. Hopefully they don't do a Sam Raimi and try to throw. See, that's another one like Sam Raimi. I don't know how he could take such a great movie as Shaun of the Evil Dead and turn it into a comedy. Um, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Yes, that's a great one. That's very underrated.
Mm,
Love the final girl in that, Sarah Dumont.
mm.
Excellent. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yeah, I wish
Oh,
they'd
yeah,
come
that's
back.
another one. That's another. I actually love that concept. It was very, very decent. You take a typical concept that you see in horror movies, and it turns out that Tucker and Dale are not are not the killers, but
Yeah,
everyone thinks that they are. And then when you see the people actually die, it's not because they killed them, because of stupid accidents.
yeah. Work safe practices.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, Monty, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to let the guys throw out some. Looks like they're throwing out some more movies out here. Echoes out here throwing some more movies. I should have asked this question earlier. Um, yeah. Let's see. She's doing a lot of the American Horror Stories. John dies at the end. That was a great movie too, Frosty. That's a sleeper. Nobody talks about that one.
Mm.
That's a really good one. Paul Giamatti. That's a really good movie. The ending is a trip. Um, let's see. I know guys exactly like those two. Yeah, I do too. A lot of those guys are in Upper Michigan. See, Echo, Jack Frost, not the ITN, not the ITN or the a family one, and Jack Frost too. What about the Tooth Fairy, Echo? Are we gonna get Tooth Fairy 6 in 2023? ITN, baby. Uh, Listen, I want to come out and hang. I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with us today. I'm
Yeah.
super happy you did. I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to come back on, and I'm going to be doing something in January on the Society. I'm going to do another A24 film, and
Okay.
I'm definitely going to invite you to come out and hang out and talk to us with us.
No, sure,
Um,
not a problem. I'm always
oh
here.
God, yep, definitely. And you guys do the horror hangout. Are you guys going to be doing that a little bit more on the regular, or you guys just do it still like once a month?
We do it once a month. We're going to be this one. I'm going to be hosting it, and I think probably sometime next week, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2022.
Oh my gosh, there was some ugliness for sure. Yeah, yeah, there's some great movies too that
Hmm.
definitely great ones. The writer John Dyson and just finished his sixth book. I look forward to that.
Hmm.
Uh, See, Kevin says to think Tooth Fairy 6, 7, and 8 are coming in 2023. That'll make Echo very, very happy. Very, very. Echo is a huge ITN fan.
uh,
That's his A24. Go Echo. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be covering who's in the horror hangout with you. I know it's you
it's
and
myself, Sean Patrick Urshan, Jen and Christian, Marty from the Trash Picture Show. It's the four of us, and then we always have a guest that comes on. I believe the guest this time, I think it's going to be Dave's Horror. Is going to be joining us this year. I think we're supposed to have two. I think Ben from Cadaver Club is supposed to be joining us as well, and then Dave's Horror.
okay,
So yeah, because
okay.
most of the time we just like we always have at least four people with us.
Yeah, you guys have a really entertaining show,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of fun. I look forward to watching you guys go at it.
Yeah,
And
hopefully we can have you on as a guest one day.
one day, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. But we're going to have you on the Society. We're going to be covering a A24 film, uh, and I'm not sure which one it is. Actually, I do, but I'm going to save it for a surprise.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's one that you'll be probably. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but once you will, you'll like it
Yeah,
definitely.
just let me know.
Definitely will. All right, folks. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. Ran a little late. We are going to be going over to Popping the Popcorns channel. Katie is hosting the Midnight Hour with Hobbs Horror, Mr. Bones, Mighty Casey, maybe Kalal, whoever they can put on their panel. That's coming up. They have an army. Um, and I'm sure we're going to all celebrate Mr. Bones's big horror tuber of the month win.
Yeah,
Um,
congrats, Mr. Bones.
yeah, congrats! I can't wait to see who he has to pick. Now, winning comes with a price, because now
Mm.
you got to put up 4 more people,
Yep.
and it's very, very hard. I don't know if I don't want to do that. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Put out 4 guys you really like. Yeah, and vote one of them better than the other ones.
Hmm.
Oh, no, thank you. No thanks. Don't want to do that. I'll pass. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting the show. We will be back next week. I'll tell you who we got next week real quick. We have comedian Sarah Dunn will be with us next Tuesday at 8 on the 6th at 8 o'clock. The return of our friend Mike Ferguson will be here with us. If you guys have seen Mike before, you know that he is absolutely a ball of fire. He'll be here on the 7th. We'll be talking about his year in film. He's got 2 great movies coming out early 2023, The Flood and Breakout. He'll be here on the 7th at 8 o'clock. And then next Thursday, we have actress model Jolene Anderson will be here. And she did a tremendous short film. It was, I guess it was sponsored by 20th Century Fox. They did a short film competition and invited people to make short films based on the Alien universe. And we did one called Alien Specimen, and that will be she'll be here next Thursday to talk about that and her other movies that she's doing. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and so she'll be here next Thursday at 8 o'clock. All right, guys, thanks so much, and stay right where you're at, Monty, and everybody else. We'll see you over on Katie's channel.
Peace. Stay
Peace.
safe, everyone.